Hello, and we're going to talk about a strange topic. Will Google adopt Brave or make its own cryptocurrency for its Chrome browser? Now, I think adopting Brave is a far-fetched idea, but making their own currency for their Chrome browser is really not. And I think that would actually favor Google and actually help their business a lot. Brave is something that's already there, and they could possibly buy it, and that's the thing that I really want them to do, because that would make my BAT tokens worth a lot, which would make me wealthy. The thing is, like, if they buy something like BAT, they would integrate it into their Chrome browser, and it would be used as a means of payment. Just think about it this way, like, Google makes more money off YouTube Red subscribers than just random YouTube visitors. The random YouTube visitors, they've actually started ways to actually block them if they actually have ad blockers, because obviously non-Red subscribers that are ad blockers are useless to YouTube because they don't actually generate any revenue, so they're not commercially viable. And if you've read Google's terms of service, they say they can deny any services or even delete channels of those they deemed commercially not viable. So they're getting more and more hostile to those people that don't make them any money. Now, Brave or Google tokens can actually solve that, because if they actually get people to buy into the economy, they wouldn't really need ads. If even 60-70% of the people bought into the Google economy, like the Brave economy, if they bought Brave and they bought Brave tokens to actually surf websites, and Google gets a cut of that, they wouldn't actually need ads, because they would make a lot more off of that just by people surfing than off ads, and people wouldn't be annoyed by ads, and ad blockers would no longer be necessary, and people would be a lot happier. Think about it, even if they get like 50%, I think like they probably have like maybe less than 10% of people that are YouTube Red subscribers, but even if like 50% or 40% use like Google Chrome coin or Brave coin integrated in their browser, and they can get a campaign to do that where they actually, you know, like just kind of pay even a little bit to surf, maybe like minute fractions of a penny for like each web page on a subscription basis, they can actually make a lot more money, even if it's only a percentage of the visitors. So it makes complete and absolute sense for Google to adopt this model. Now, will they actually buy it from Brave? They might. It really depends on what they actually offer Brave as a company, because essentially Brave browser is based off of Chrome. Brave and Chrome work almost the exact same way. The only real difference is that Brave doesn't actually display ads. The core is the same, because if you actually go to W3 Schools, you don't see a Brave browser in their web browser market, and that's because the Brave people have not actually changed their daemon from Chrome to Brave. So Brave basically just shows up as Chrome when you go to W3 Schools, and that's how you know that Brave is basically built off Chrome. Now, if they bought Brave, integrated it into Chrome, which would be much faster than them actually making their own token and testing all that stuff, because we know that Brave already works, that could be a big boon for them, because then people would actually have the option just to buy some BAT tokens. And you know, like, I don't know what they'll do with the supply, just to buy some BAT tokens and use BAT tokens to pay either creators, and part of that payment will probably go to Google on YouTube and other Google sites. So that can be like a huge amount of money for them, because I do think there are visitors that would actually support content creators in that way. And that's a great way for content creators to be happy, because we would get paid more if Google does like the 60-40 split or 35-65 split, whatever they choose to do. Google would get paid more. YouTube would actually be much more profitable if they did that. Content creators would be happier, and they don't have to deal with all these bitchy ad companies, because they wouldn't need ads anymore if that was the case. Because a lot of the advertising companies, like, we don't want our ads on that video or that video or that video. So that's why that's actually part of the reason Google has this scorched earth policy, because they have to deal with the advertisers, and they can't really live without the advertisers, so they have to give in to advertiser demands on what videos they want to advertise on. But if a lot of people actually subscribe to like the Brave model with BAT tokens or Google tokens or whatever the hell you call them, then they wouldn't actually have to bow to advertisers. They can just be like, okay, you don't want to advertise? Fine, we'll just go on to the next guy. And that would give them a lot more leniency. They wouldn't have to delete as many videos. See, a lot of people think like Google does censorship based on their political views. No. Google does censorship based on what makes them the most money. And if the company doesn't really offer them any financial incentive to their investors or to their executives, then really there's no reason for them to censor that video. Of course, they have to follow government regulations too, with the COVID-19 thing, obviously. But generally, like, if they don't really have advertisers to deal with, they wouldn't have to delete or restrict nearly as many videos, because then there's no financial incentive for them to do so. And the financial incentive is actually a lot greater than any kind of political incentive for Google to actually censor X videos. And no, they don't really censor like only right-wing things or left-wing things. I mean, they censored like Louis Farrakhan, and they censored like they censored the extremes because a lot of advertisers don't actually want their videos actually associated with, you know, like stuff like that, or like really bad like black humor, dark comedy or whatever. Not really like politicized or anything, but really just like stuff that some people might find offensive, they actually censor because it might be devastating to their revenue and their advertisers. So without that worry, Google would actually have a lot more freedom in what they want to censor or not. And when you actually do that, we can actually publish a lot more things. We can actually publish a lot more things. Now, you still can't incite violence and all that stuff, obviously, but you would be able to publish videos and monetize them with a vast array of with a much vaster array of topics, and you wouldn't face that censorship. And also, like that would also open the door for other, let's say, like other content platforms as well, because on those other content platforms, like creators would not actually have to rely on advertisers. Those other content platforms would not have to rely on advertisers. They would actually rely on donations. And if there's an overall donation with like either Brave Coin or Google Coin, trust me, it would be a lot better than actually having to rely on stuff like you know, DTube tokens or Beats tokens or whatever. If there was like an overall token that just worked for everything, there'd be a lot more adopters. So I'm hoping that something like this happens. I know buying Brave is kind of a long shot. They could make their own token. I really do think they will in the future, because that's the way for Google's future to work. So that's my video right now. Let me know what you think. Like and subscribe, and hit that bell notifications button. Thank you, and have a nice day.